Greetings, duelists, and we're here making another video. So, I'm going to talk about this person right here. If you saw my last profile, I talked about a certain player that has been doing very, very well this format. Please introduce yourself, tell me what deck you played, and talk a little bit about crossover breakers, because you have been playing this very same deck to 4 important events, and you pretty much won all of them. So yeah, the floor is yours.
My name is Hernandez. I'm a player for the Extenders. Ever since this deck came out, I started playing it. I wanted to play Malice originally. Shout out Kobe, he's the one that got me on the Malice train. But unfortunately, the Malice stuff did not come in time, so this was the only deck I had available for the Win a 2 case, and I've just been grinding the deck non-stop since it came out, and I just feel like this version is the better version. Fiendsmith is just coping. Like, it's honestly, if you miss Snake Eye format, then that's why you play Fiendsmith in this deck. That's the only reason. I don't know what else to say. The deck is really good going second, even better going first. Set up a bunch of interruptions with your board and the hand traps that you draw through Dugaris or through your other means, through the field spell. The field spell, the best interruption the deck has, doesn't activate, can't do anything about it, it just happens on the resolution. But yeah, top pretty much every tournament I have played so far. The only reason why I haven't won them all is because we haven't played the top 8 for all of them, because it's not worth it. Because if someone loses, I don't want really like my friends going minus, and because the top is almost always me and my friends, I don't want that to happen. So I want everybody to plus, so we always split. I don't care about that. But yeah, I've been playing pure Ryzeal. Let's get into it. 3x. If you're playing pure, this is your best starter going first, and even better going second. You send aggregator. There's nothing like chain block. A lot of people, if your opponent gets to the field spell, if they're playing Ryzeal, they try to negate the field spell with the aggregator. Just negate the detonator. They have to negate the aggregator either way. But this way, it forces a material to be dropped from either the detonator or the duo drive. 3 ice, the best normal summon in the deck, gets you into sword, which terrible normal summon, excellent extender when you draw it for turn after you've done all your plays. And the mandatory one of note, great extender, actually won me top 4 yesterday. I don't really want to talk about that game. That was a sacky game. My opponent was very salty about it. 2 cross, we play Desires, so 2 cross is mandatory. And opening this, I opened it twice against Kobe.
Yep, you did.
It was amazing because he shifted me game 2, and I'm like, okay, I'll just make detonator activate field spell pass.
I impermed your dual drive and I rolled you, and you still opened it.
And then I activate cross, make detonator anyways. It was insane.
Brutal match.
The one-ofs plug-in Plasma Hole. Did not banish this in top 4, drew it off a Pot of Desires, won the game.
How do you feel about Plasma Hole in the main deck?
Plasma Hole in the main deck, I think it's mandatory because this is a resource management deck. That's all it is. The deck is not really complicated to play. What's complicated about it is managing your resources. So what a lot of people do when they're playing pure is they cut the Plasma Hole, so that the plugin automatically has to attach one of the kids, one of the Ryzeal monsters. And you don't want to do that because then you're just cutting off your resources from the main deck. So you're cutting off follow-up. So Plasma Hole, not only is it good because it's a free material, it's a free detach off of the field spell, off of detonator, whatever, it's a free detach. It also helps you break boards because you can go into Zeus on your opponent's turn. You can also go into Typhon on your opponent's turn. So the people saying, oh, this is a win more card, it's not a win more card, it's guarantee your resources for next turn card. Also, setting this card is really good against the Ryzeal match, the Fiendsmith matchup, because you get to pop the Chaos Angel for free. You don't always open Imperm. This is a free pop that gets rid of Chaos Angel. That's searchable.
Yeah, that does come up this format.
Yeah, there's no reason not to run it if you're playing pure. More consistency or engine cards, triple bonfire, searches the X or the ice. Doesn't really do anything else other than that. It eats drool. Thank you, Kobe. Triple Koalas. I respected Malice a lot more than I respected Pure Ryzeal. Not a lot of people playing Pure Ryzeal, and not a lot of people playing it as well as they could be. So Malice is a much more difficult matchup for Ryzeal in general. I kept saying since they announced the decks, Malice is the better deck, but Ryzeal just has the more support currently.
Yep.
So like as soon as Malice gets the support it needs and deserves, because the deck is really good and it's really fun, it's gonna be an unstoppable deck. It's gonna be a Tearlament Sprite situation.
Yeah, I stay tuned for Alliance Insight.
Yes.
That's probably gonna happen.
Same. Triple Valor, I was running 2. The boys at GMG, Jorgito and Jorge Alexis, convinced me to bump it up to 3, as well as the Nib. I was running 1 for crossout. They convinced me to bump it up to 2. Did not regret the choices. Really overperformed during the entire tournament. I Nib, made Donner or sent it off of Node for continued follow-up. It was just insane all around. Triple Ash, the best hand trap in the format. Doesn't really hit the cards that you wanted to hit in Malice, but it hits every card that you wanted to hit in Ryzeal Fiendsmith, so we're fine.
Hey, I'm just saying, ashing a white binder feels so great.
It feels amazing. So we also ran 2 Ghost Ogre. This was for this event. Post SUDA, this is coming out completely. It's not going to be in the side or anything. This is going to be replaced by Ghost Spell. Post SUDA, this card just does nothing. A lot of the dudes, or a lot of the combos go for, if you're playing the Mitsurugi stuff, it doesn't matter if it touches for cost, it's still going to search. So, and they could chain the prayers, so it's not as good as Ghost Spell. Triple Imperm, mandatory. If post SUDA, don't wait for them to activate for Olymp effect. Do it on summon, please. Just save yourself a lot of heartache. Double Talents, amazing card. Don't want to run it at 3. The deck has a consistency issue. I mean, it's bound to have it. Low engine count. But don't want it at 3. Don't want to break on it. Don't want it at 1. Want to see it. I saw it a lot, and it was insane all tournament. Double Pot of Desires, again, same as Talents. Don't want to draw into it with Pot of Desires. Don't want to pot for pot. So this is how we mitigate this, but we want to see the card so we don't run it at 1.
Have you ever banished all of your starters with Desires?
Yes. And surprisingly enough, I won that game.
Okay.
Because my opponent had no starters, I had all hand traps, and I had at least 1 starter in hand and 1 extender in hand. So it was, I banished 2 ice, 2 X, 2 sword, and I had ice and sword in hand. So I was able to continue playing through there. 1 call by, we want to play the game. Puerto doesn't allow us to play the game. I mean, it does, but we don't want to give our opponent infinite draws.
Yeah, I think arguably that's pretty much one of the best cards this format.
In top 8, my opponent Puerto'd me. I went normal summon ice, Baguska, set Solemn Strike pass. My opponent proceeded to end on a Caesar that I did not care about. I switched Baguska to attack, negated the Caesar with X and Aggregator. Full comboed. When he tried to Ash my Duo Drive, I saw him strike the Ash, and it was GG from there, OTK. Triple Crossout hand trap format. We're running a bunch of hand traps main deck. It's good. It's also good in the mirror match. If you have everything, cross out for talents is amazing. Cross out for Imperm on the opponent's turn, and cross out for any of the names on the opponent's turn is amazing. And if they start with Pot of Desires, they're already losing, so cross out for Pot of Desires is insane.
Is there any tech card that you would have missed for crossout?
Tech card that I would have missed for crossout, Samult Archfiend. Someone actually resolved that against me yesterday. I'm like, oh, I don't have that crossout target. So my board was Duo Drive Field Spell, but I had Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgment. There was nothing else he could do from there. Into the extra deck. The extra deck, pretty friggin' standard. A lot of people judge me for my extra deck choices, but hey, I topped, they didn't. Dweller, amazing card into the Fiendsmith matchup. It's an FTK. They can't play. A lot of times when I knew I was playing into Fiendsmith, I just Dwellered them and it was game over. But because I knew I was playing into a version of the deck that could play through Dweller, I decided I would have rather made Baguska. So I made Baguska, and that's actually what won me my top 8 match.
Do you think Dweller is going to last next format?
I don't think so. I think it's gonna get banned. The card is too good, and especially with Eclipse Twins, send and summon a back Dweller with another material. If you're playing Pure, you get to still play Plugin. Plugin attaches the material to Dweller. It's insane. A Plugin revives the Dweller. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the way you try to apply it. They can't get rid of Dweller.
Yeah.
Light Dragon Ignister, a lot of my buddies who I was testing with preferred to play Castel. Castel is a more finicky and iffy card. This also serves as a pseudo detonator, and I get to out the detonator for free with everything else from my engine, so I don't really need an extra deck spot to out the detonator.
You can even protect it itself from detonator.
Exactly. So I summoned this a lot for the OGK. Summon, pop one of the monsters, make sure they only had one monster, and overlaid the big boss man. Utopic Red Answer, run over, detach, hit you for 25 or 26 depending on the duo drive, hit you with duo drive, hit you with detonator, game over.
How often have you summoned the Ray Lancer?
The Ray Lancer, I summoned it every single game except for the ones I played with you.
Well, you did summon it one game against me.
Yeah, but it was when you already had like 7,100 life points, so it wasn't really like the OTK that I normally went for, but yeah, I was able to summon it.
How often have you summoned that with Plasma Hole?
With Plasma Hole, about 3 times, because my opponent goes battle phase, I go end of main phase, summon this out, and then they still go into battle phase effect, negate all your monsters, and they all are minus 500. There's no way he wins. Then one Drugaris actually made this a lot more. I've been making it a lot more now. The draw is very impactful, gives you more hand draft, more non-engine for you to play on your opponent's turn. Overall, can't complain with the card's performance. We played 1 Exciton Knight, mandatory. Did this round 2. My only loss was to me misplaying. My opponent imperms the detonator, and I chain cross out, even though the only card that beats me in that scenario is Nibiru. So I should have just let the imperm resolve, lose my detonator, keep the Exciton Knight, and I would have had the cross out for Nibiru when I went for duo drive, because that was his last card in hand that was not known. We played double duo drive. This card resolved a lot more than people thought it would. It's honestly just playing better. Just not always resolving to duo drive is the best way to resolve your duo drive. So a lot of times I just went detonator pass. So because I ended up with follow up and hand traps, don't really need the cross, and they have to have the imperm for the detonator. Otherwise, it's just game over. 2 detonator, namesake of the deck. The reason why we play the deck. Honestly, not much to say about the card. It's Dryden on steroids. 2 aggregator. I think if you're playing pure until the Eclipse Twins come out, this is mandatory. There is no reason to run it at less than 2. For the grind game, it's unbeatable. If you go first, you get to send it first. You get to have it as an interruption on your opponent's turn. If your opponent gets out your board, you get to send it again with X on your turn. So it's just really good for the grind game. Honestly, when Eclipse Twins comes out, it goes down to 1. It's mandatory because we need the extra deck space for other utility cards once the Mitsurugi stuff hits. 1 Typhon, summoned this twice yesterday. Other times it wasn't really necessary. My engine was enough to break the board. So Typhon wasn't really necessary, but it is good to have, because in the scenarios in which it does come up, you want to make this. Zeus, I did this a lot with Plasma Hole to OTK my opponent or to get rid of my entire opponent's board. Zeus with 4 materials because detonator battled, and then I Zeus on top of my own detonator with the 3 materials because it was imperm. Go chain Zeus, he goes cross negate, chain Zeus again, and then it's game over from there.
Have you ever done XYT attack, detonator, detach to protect, then Zeus?
Yes.
Okay.
It's really good. Attack, detach, protect, bam. Zeus on top of it. What we doing now, buddy? The honorary rank 4, which is going to be switched out next format, because Bystials is going to be part of my... I'm going to have a larger Bystial package in the side deck. So Spoilers alert for the side deck.
Yeah.
So this card is not as good because it requires 2 different types. So this is coming out for this guy. It's a free draw and the body automatically leaves the field. You don't. It can't be impermed for you to not.
Who knows? Maybe may come up with Metaltronus.
Exactly.
Because of Malice and because of Ritsurugi.
Exactly. So for the side deck, I ran 2 Bestials. I expected a lot more Malice and Fiendsmith today on that tournament. I was correct. I faced 2 Malice, 2 Fiendsmith Ryzeals, and 1 pure Ryzeal. Those were my matchups. I'm sorry, it was 2 Fiendsmith Ryzeals, 2 Malice, 1 Malice, 1 pure Ryzeal, and 1 Chimera. And then it was pure Ryzeal on top, and then Fiendsmith Ryzeal on top 8. And then it was Malice in top in the finals. Overperformed. After the girls use their effects, it cuts them off from that body. If they go for Splash Mage, if they're if it doesn't, just a really good card. If they try to Bestial their own shifter, you get to Bestial their shifter back. It's insane.
It's also really good because you play cross out.
I also play cross out, so if they go into battle and they declare an attack with Druid Worm to try and out my detonator, I don't have to use my cross. I could just cross out Druid Worm, which I did a lot as well. Ghost Spell, this going main deck next format, respecting again Malice and the Fiendsmith variants, not just the Fiendsmith Ryzeal, but any Fiendsmith variant, because it hits the Fiendsmith engine very well. The best card to hit is obviously either Engraver on the opponent's turn or Lacrima on your turn. So just overperformed.
Yeah, I think Supreme Darkness format, this card's gonna be pretty much a staple.
Yeah, 100%. Again, respected Malice a lot. Ran the landscape. I think this is mandatory as long as Malice is in the format. Even though people are saying that Malice next format, because of SUDA, because of the Cliff Swing, it's going to be worse, I'm pretty sure there's going to be ways to play Malice. So you got to be prepared for Malice. You're not always going to be able to set up a Cliff Swing. Malice is going to run a lot more Bestials next format, 100% certain of it. There's a lot more targets for them, so it's like gotta run it. You can't just bank on Eclipse Twins carrying the game. It's not going to work every time.
I agree.
The MVPs for my side deck, shout out Kobe, Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment.
I saw that card a lot, and
Yes.
It wasn't just you.
It was a lot of people. 2 of them were teammates of mine, so they were running it per my suggestion. I really like Solemn Judgment. Pre-SUDA, I really like Solemn Judgment. Post-SUDA, not that much. Through the board breakers, which was our main issue in the deck, because the deck can handle continuous field spells, monster effects. It can't handle anything except for spell and traps. So we needed a way to be able to mitigate the damage that the spell and traps were going to do to us. So that's why I ran the Judgments. And Solemn Strike is just good overall. A lot of monster effects going around. Not really much to explain for Solemn Strike, just really good. Better Solemn Judgment if you have to negate the X summon, which I did in top 4. So negated the X summon, he had the sword in hand, I asked the sword effect, and I had Solemn Judgment set for if he had another follow-up. So there was no way for him to win from that position. 1D barrier for the crossout target. We really don't want to draw it. If we draw it, fine. But it's just there for the crossout target.
Did you ever debarrier the mirror?
I did debarrier the mirror. In the game in which I drew it, I debarrier the mirror, saved me enough time for me to be able to win on my turn. It's really good into the mirror. It's decent into the Fiendsmith variant. What I do into the Fiendsmith variant is I don't care about your XCs unless you're already locked into them. So if you're locked into them, XYZs. If you're not locked into them, I just call Fusion. So you can't summon out Necro Crypt, so the Caesar is not free. So you have to play with your Ryzeal engine. The issue that a lot of people don't understand is that the Ryzeal Fiendsmith deck is only good because it has follow-up from 2 different engines. If you cut off one of the follow-ups, that the other engine is dead. Because you can your engine itself, if you manage your resources, can deal with any singular engine. With multiple engines at the same time, it's 100% difficult. Lightning Storm, respected Malice board breakers. respected the mirror match. The mirror match sets a lot of traps. In the finals, I actually activated this Harpies Feather Duster. My opponent was very salty. My hand consisted of 3 1-ups. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It just happens. But it consisted of 3 1-ups. I Harpies, he cross out, calling X. I cross out, calling cross out. I get rid of his spell and traps. I go Bonfire, add X, X1, Aggregator 2, negate the detonator. He pops my dude. I go Sword. I go Duo Drive. I go Sword, add Ice, Ice Summon. That was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. That almost cost me the game. I should have just Ice, no effect. XYZ, I would have had the 3 materials on the Duo Drive, so I would have activated Cross and would have had a safer line under Nib, but luckily didn't end up costing me the game. Luckily, the heart of the cards were with me that day, because I part of Desires drew plug-in imperm, so there was I had to apologize to my opponent because I sacked him very hard that game. But yeah, overall went X1 in Swiss, undefeated in Top Cut. Just think this version of the deck is a better version. I don't think, if you want to play Feastful, that's on you. If you want to play Mitsurugi, I think it's a really good version because it helps with some of the consistency issues, but I don't think it's a call for the YCS.
So yeah, excellent deck, excellent profile. After playing and topping as consistently as you have done with this deck, do you miss going back, trying to play Malice? Do you think you're just fine with this? Do you think, does this deck exceed your expectations?
So this deck exceeded my expectations. I thought it was just going to be a cookie cutter, like Sprite mid-range deck, which it kind of is, but it has a lot of fun lines if you're going the pure route that you can go and still end on your God board, quote unquote, for the Ryzeal. I do want to switch to Malice at some point. I have played Malice when I borrow Ramon's deck and other buddies' decks, and Malice is just really fun to play. It has a lot of layered interaction, which I really like. I was a control player in Magic the Gathering, and I like mid-range, so it's like both of these decks are like in my wheelhouse. Because I really enjoyed playing Sprite format when I was playing Sprite. I really enjoy... I think that was the only format I actually enjoyed playing. Because I hated tier limits, but I love playing Sprite. So it's like I did everything to mitigate the tier limit matchup, and actually with Sprite I had some really good results as well. Okay. It's just the gist of the game. But yeah, I think going forward, when Alliance of Sight drops, I'm probably going to be switching over to Malice.
Okay, so you won a trip to YCS Orlando.
Yes.
You won a VIP qualifier for Orlando.
Yes.
You won almost $1,000.
Yes.
You almost won a PS5. Technically, you did win it.
Yeah.
So, are you going to actually play this in Orlando, or are you gonna test a little bit post Supreme Darkness?
So I'm gonna test Mitsurugi post SUDA, but I think this is just going to be my list. You know, probably input the Eclipse Twins, the changes. It's probably Seuss comes out, one of the aggregators comes out, and play Eclipse Twins and run a heavier Bestial package, probably a Baldrake and another Druid, so I could see them, because that makes the Haggardos an easy draw, an easy out to your bodies on board. It also helps with the Feast with matchup, which I believe is going to be, it's going to be very present in YCS Orlando, as well as the Mitsurugi stuff. I would like to play Mitsurugi, but I just think with the amount of Bestials, Ghost Spells, the new Molcharmi, I'm pretty sure all of these are going to be in everybody's side deck, if not most side decks. So I don't feel comfortable playing the Mitsurugi version at that YCS if I want to top.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this profile, Angel. Like, this is an incredible feat. You are pretty much the MVP of the format as of now. Let's see if we can keep that title.
I hope so. I hope so. There's like a couple tournaments coming up before the YCS. I hope I'm able to top or win them.
All right. Yeah, so for everybody tuning in, keep practicing and keep dueling.